Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, we're rolling. Friday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. We're just a couple of dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. This is episode 200. My main man, woohoo, we got here. I guess that means we've been doing this for like 4+ years now. So,
I guess so. Damn.
yeah, that's pretty wild, man. So cheers to that shit, even though you're not drinking. I mean, you probably got a pop there or something, so it's better than nothing, I guess. So
Yeah, better than nothing. I forgot to grab the whiskey again.
it's all right. I'm not gonna guilt you or give you a hard time for it. So sobriety is a great thing too. Just not for me, not tonight. So anyhow, tonight we're gonna kick things off with Name That Stadium, just like we always do. Even though in 200 episodes we've probably had 6 takers. So, but we're still going to do it. We're still going to do it. Then we're going to cover the news from the past week. After that, we're going to finish off our 4-part series, and we're going to give you guys our AFC and NFC North Outlook. Time to talk about the Lions. Love doing that. And last but not least, we're going to do a question of the week. And so, James, I don't think we've ever even had somebody play question of the week with us. We've not gotten any answers in the comments for that. And
I don't
so,
think so either.
yeah, so we're going to wing it this week. We're just going to come up with a question on the fly, not like it matters, but yeah, that'll be the show. And so, whenever you're ready, bud, why don't you do some Name That Stadium for us?
All right. As you can see, traveling around different stadiums, host NFL games. This one should be obvious. I go here every chance I get, but first person guesses right, gets an extra special shout out. Bookmark it, play it for all your friends. Like you said, we probably haven't had a taker in like 2 years or 3 years for it. One of the 6 was like 3 years ago, but last week we were talking about the West, so I chose to go to Kansas City.
Okay. Nice.
So,
Yeah.
guess.
I
It's
mean, I know where
obvious.
you're at tonight. And
If you look closely, you can see the team name behind me.
yes, it's fairly obvious. And, James, if I would have known you were coming in town, I would have just invited you over. I got like an extra chair, like right there. I don't know if you can see it. It's right
Yeah.
here. But that's okay. You didn't want to come and say hi to me and whatever. You incognito come to the D. So, oh, another hint for anybody who's watching. So, yeah. All right, cool. That's Name That Stadium. Fun stuff. Let's talk about the news from this past week, James. And so we've got the third and final week of preseason started last night. So we're getting really close to the regular season. We're getting to the point where teams are starting to cut some guys. They're making some trades. You got a little flurry of activity going on. And then there's other things that have popped up. Like I saw wide receiver Zay Jones is getting suspended for 5 games. That one kind of shocked me. I thought maybe I would have heard something about it coming, and maybe there was some news somewhere along the way that I just missed. But I think
So
that's kind of a big deal for Arizona, right? Because they're going to be relying on Marvin Harrison Jr. to be their number one right out of the gate. And Zay Jones, he carved out a pretty good role as the wide receiver 2 in Jacksonville for a little bit there. And then also he had some contributing moments with the Raiders. And so, I think it just, Arizona's going to be a work in progress in the wide receiver room is all it means.
yeah, so we did hear about it, but it was almost a fucking year ago that we
Okay.
heard about it. It stems from a November 13 arrest when he was charged with misdemeanor domestic battery after an argument with the mother of his child,
Ah, yes,
al-
baby mama drama.
allegedly resulting in an injury to her neck. And I remember
Oh,
reading that, I remember talking about it.
okay. All right.
But it's just taking this fucking long for the league to get off their ass and do something about it.
Gotcha. Okay.
The other one that was starting left tackle for the Rams, Alaric Jackson, was suspended for
Oh,
2
shit. I
games.
didn't realize he was their starting tackle. Fuck, man. Okay.
He was suspended for 2 games for violating the personal conduct policy. I'm glancing in the article. It doesn't say what it stems from, anything. So who knows why he was suspended? That one just
Remains a mystery.
remains a mystery.
All right.
And you had mentioned preseason, and apparently the Jacksonville. What the fuck is going on with my fucking edge? Okay, my edge. Like every time I do anything, like this, the edge, just like the window turns black, but like the rest of the screen is fine.
Okay.
So it was just weird as fuck. Apparently the Jacksonville Jaguars first stringers can beat the second, third stringers from the Atlanta Falcons up pretty good. So
Good.
just
They need the
just saying,
practice.
yeah, they're up 28-0, and I think it might be that particular. Yeah, it's just that one. Okay, anyways, but yeah, they're up 28-0
Sure.
late in the fourth quarter. Like,
And I'll tell you what, James, it's interesting going into the third week here because last week I heard a lot about teams sitting their starters this week because they didn't want to take chances. And then all of a sudden, in the last like 3 or 4 days, I've seen a number of teams start to kind of pivot, and they've either said that they're undecided or that some of the starters are going to start. Like Carolina said that the starters are going to start, and some of these teams have said that. And so it makes me think that some of these guys got through the second week, and then they realized, oh man, we still got some shit we got to work out. And so now they're plugging them in, and that's fine. It's just we talk about how preseason's it's changed so much, and even in a case like this where you're talking Jacksonville, I mean, if they're truly putting the starters out there against the second and maybe even the third team defense for Atlanta, it's like, okay, I get it, man. You guys are getting your game reps, you're getting some time together, but I mean, it's just I don't know, dude. It just some of that. It's like don't read a whole lot into it because it's not like they're playing the fucking A team. So
yeah, and it's like so. We talk about preseason not mattering. Apparently, in tonight's preseason game, the Dolphins' tight end coach is going to serve as the head coach in the second half.
yeah, give them some contingency.
Yeah, like what? Your tight end coach. It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah. Hey man, Dan Campbell, tight end coach, fucking all pro hero head coach for our team, So
Yeah,
anything can happen.
it's John Embry, whoever the fuck that is.
Write that name down. 5 years from now, let's talk about where he's at in life.
Yeah, but like Dan Campbell, like there were like
Oh,
when
the players loved Dan Campbell when he had his interim run with the Dolphins.
Yeah, he had his interim run with the Dolphins. Players loved him, and also with Dan Campbell, like you go back and talk like when he was hired as the Lions head coach, and then went back and talked to players that played with him about him, and they're like, yeah, we knew he was going to be a coach. Like he was saying on the entire fucking time that he wanted to be, he was going to go into coaching. So,
oh yeah, he was intense too, from what I heard. So quite intense as a player.
So John Embry has had head coaching experience.
What?
At the University of Colorado.
All right. That's fine. I was going to say not in the NFL.
In 2 seasons at the University of Colorado, he was 4-21.
Sounds like a Central Michigan coach from my era.
Yeah. So, but I mean, he's been in the league never more than a tight end coach.
It's all right. The dude made it to be a head coach at the college level, which says something, So he must talk a good game, and he must have certain attributes that make sense, and just maybe some stuff's missing, or he needs more time to develop,
Yeah, so it looks like he was at Colorado previous to his head coaching stint, where he was a volunteer assistant coach,
Nice.
and then at some point he became tight ends coach, defensive ends coach, tight ends coach, wide receivers and kickers coach.
He's been
So
around.
he's been around. Yeah, he apparently played. Never heard of him. He apparently played in 1987 and 1988 for the Rams.
Okay.
He was
Yeah,
a
my guess is
sixth
that
round draft pick.
my guess is his hopes of being an NFL head coach are actually probably pretty slim now that you say that. But
Yeah,
you never know. Crazier things have happened, I'm sure.
yeah. So crazier things have happened. So let's see. Apparently, he played. He also played at Colorado. He was a. This is how much his career, his actual playing career matters. It does not say what position he played. Oh, there it
Okay.
is. Finally found it. He was a tight end. But it doesn't have any stats for him for
He
playing
may not have
stats.
had any stats.
Yeah. But that's just how much preseason matters.
Okay. All right, so let's keep it going, James. I saw the Chiefs have extended Creed Humphrey,
Mm-hmm.
4 years, $72 million, makes him the highest paid center in the NFL. I don't know how much of that's guaranteed, but, he's been fucking solid. And I think that that's huge for the Chiefs because they need to keep that offensive line
50 guaranteed.
50 guaranteed. Fuck yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
They need to keep that offensive line strong. And they had some issues last year. I know him and Tooney are like rock solid. I think they still got some concerns on the tackle spots. But we know that the Chiefs, it's hey, you want to keep winning Super Bowls, you better keep that offensive line good because otherwise you can be embarrassed like you were against the Buccaneers a few years back. So, yeah. Aside from that,
So a note on that, he surpassed Frank Ragnow to become the highest paid center in the league by like $4 million, almost five.
gotcha. Well, Frankie boy, he's done well for himself. You know, he's another guy I'm hoping, man, just stay healthy this year, please. So, all right. So I did see another extension, Falcons with their cornerback AJ Terrell,
Mm-hmm.
4 year, $81 million deal. That was good, man, and I've liked him a lot. But I did read recently that some people were saying last year was actually kind of a disappointing year for him. And I guess maybe some of that flew under the radar for me. But I think, the Falcons are saying, hey, we still think he's obviously pretty legit if they're going to give him 20 something million a year here.
Mm-hmm.
And then old former Lions kicker Riley Patterson, unfortunately, was released from the Commanders. They traded for Cade York, and he is out. And so I've always liked Riley Patterson. You know, didn't
Mm-hmm.
work out in Detroit, didn't work out in Jacksonville. He's kind of bounced around now, but I think part of his thing is, the leg strength isn't necessarily there, but when you watch him kick, he kicks a really good, clean ball, man. It just, you know, just not all the way there for what teams want. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's a kicker.
yeah, kicker. I mean, hey, you wanted to talk about kickers like a month ago when what was it, when we were doing our fantasy football stuff.
Oh,
So,
I was just fucking with you because I knew you didn't actually look at the kickers, so I made sure
yeah,
I looked at the
yeah,
kickers.
you went all the way though. You didn't just look at them. You probably spent 2 hours researching it, James.
Probably. Maybe
I don't
even
know.
four. I spent like an hour researching the rest of the positions, but I probably spent like 3 or 4 on just kickers.
Yeah, just a real. How tall are they? What's their body mass index? What's going on psychologically? Are they married, divorced, kids in multiple states? Financially, are they, are they soluble? Are they good? What's going on? like all these things because it's very psychological with kickers, man. I know that you're like crazy about it.
Hmm.
So,
I
all right.
went through every possible yardage number. Like at 33 yards, they're X
If
for
it's
X.
off to the
At
left, they're
34
fucked.
yards,
If it's in the center
at 37, they kind of
with the sun at their
kick it
back
towards
and
the
the wind in
left.
their face, and yeah,
Indoor versus outdoor kicking.
yes,
Bad weather versus good weather. I went through the whole gamut on them. Like,
I believe it, dude. I believe it. You were probably calling teams. What detergent are you using in the uniform? Is it Tide? What's going on there? He's
I
got a little bit
actually
of an allergic reaction.
I found out that less than half the league uses Tide, but I'm just making that shit up. Seriously,
Dude. Oh fuck! That would be intense. That would be intense if you if you really did.
so back to the news. I don't know if you saw this week, but there was some talk. Who was it on the Judon trade that why Judon chose? I even forgot where he went already.
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Why he chose Atlanta when Chicago apparently was in
Oh, I
on the
didn't know
deal.
Chicago was in that
Yeah.
shit.
So apparently, what I'm reading is Chicago and New England had the makings of a deal worked out, but part of the deal was him getting the extension with Chicago, getting an extension.
Yeah.
When they talked money, Chicago wasn't there, so kind of told New England, I'm not going to go there because they're not going to meet my demands. And that's how he ended up with Atlanta.
Well, and Atlanta's not extending him. They're saying he's going to play it out, and that's and he seems to be comfortable with that. He was saying, "Hey, I plan on earning it." So
Yeah. So like Chicago to trade for him wanted to get the extension done before, basically the workings of the extension before the trade. Atlanta was fine with, play it out.
okay. Oh, I got you. I got you. Not, yeah, that makes sense now. All right. Well, yeah. Speaking of that, I did see Jahan Dotson got traded from the Commanders to the Eagles,
Mm-hmm.
and so that intra-division trade, you don't usually see ones, you know, to that extent. But man, I like Dotson. I thought he had some serious potential in Washington, and now he goes to be the number 3 in Philly. It's kind of like Philly's just so goddamn good at wheeling and dealing and fucking stacking that roster, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
man, fucking Howie Roseman is like a fucking legend, dude.
Yeah, and possibly even number 4 receiver there because they have Devonta Parker too.
Oh fuck, yeah, all right. Well, I think he beats out Parker. I think Parker's already in the decline phase, but you never
Yeah.
know. And I
So
guess it depends on where they put him, right? Because Parker's going to be on the outside. Dotson's going to be a slot guy for sure.
yeah, and as part of it, so Washington sent Dotson and a 5th-round pick to Philly for a 3rd-round pick and 2 7th-round picks.
Yeah, I mean that's not bad at all for Philly to just be like, we're going to take a shot on this guy and have one of the best fucking wide receiver groups in the NFL.
Yeah, so I'm looking at, and so CBS Sports graded the trade for the Commanders D-. Quote, there's no way to frame this as anything other than a loss for Washington.
Although the coaches, I guess, soured on him, right? And so,
Yeah.
if he's not in your plans anymore, then it's better to get something for him than to just cut his ass, right?
Yeah. So Dotson was a 1st-round pick just 2 years ago, and he played 2 underwhelming seasons for the team, but he also didn't get an opportunity to play with a good quarterback during that time.
Yeah, and he showed some kind of boom potential in some of the games, man. I'm not
Yeah.
saying he's going to be a fucking, wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2, but him going in there being a 3, He's a goddamn good guy to have as your 3, man.
Yeah, and then for the Eagles, a B. And quote, the cost to acquire him is so low that the deal is solid when even allowing for the possibility that he can't fill a real role in this offense.
Yeah. Well, because they got so many mouths to feed.
Yeah. So, I mean, I saw it and like it
Yeah.
didn't click. Like I saw Dotson was traded and like it didn't click when I read the Reddit that he was traded to Philadelphia, and
Yeah.
then I'm just now looking at what the deal was, and that's a terrible deal for Washington.
I think, dude, honestly, I think it's a great insurance policy, knock on wood, whatever, if something were to happen to Devonta Smith,
Hmm.
because he's another one of those kind of skinny-ish wide receivers. You know, you're not replacing A.J. Brown, but if Smith went down, Dotson could be their wide receiver too. And if Smith stays healthy, Dotson is a hell of a wide receiver 3 that you can be playing in the slot. And I know he can play outside a little bit. He did have some nice deep routes and things like that, but just fucking good for Philly, man, doing what they do, stacking the fucking deck.
Yeah, and I wanted to correct what I said about Judon.
Yeah.
So it was on Hard Knocks that it came out that Chicago was planning to send a third-round pick to New England in exchange for Judon, but didn't pursue it after not being able to iron out the parameters for an extension.
Okay. Well, fuck him. Yeah, I'm just pissed at how great of a fucking offseason Chicago's had anyhow. So fuck them.
Yeah. Speaking of Chicago, they traded for linebacker Daryl Taylor from the Seahawks.
What? Those sons of bitches.
Um,
No, I don't know. I don't know how much that moves the needle. I thought Chicago was stacked at linebacker because didn't they fucking bring in a couple guys last year?
uh-huh. So
Ah,
he's a situational edge rusher, but because he has a good pass rush, but he kind of sucks against the against the run. In 2023, he appeared in 17 games. He had 5.5 sacks, 7 tackles for a loss, and 8 quarterback hits, while only playing 40% of the team's off or defensive snaps.
okay.
Yeah, so
Good
they
depth.
have Austin Booker, DeMarcus Walker, and Dominique Robinson already.
No, I'm talking. Hang on.
Yeah, that's Chicago, no?
Tremaine Edmonds and T.J. Edwards are the 2 guys I was thinking of.
Oh well, yeah, they have those. I was just reading the quote from Eberflus. So
Oh,
what
gotcha.
who the fuck was he? Okay, so
I mean, those are maybe if they're planning on playing this guy more as like an edge guy, then maybe
yeah,
those are some of the other people in the mix, right?
DeMarcus Walker's right defensive end.
Yeah, I was looking at just like the linebacker, true linebackers.
Yeah,
You know me, I still got that old school mentality. If you're a linebacker, you're a fucking linebacker.
yeah. So also Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, woohoo! You do the thing, you grab your crotch, woohoo!
Yeah, it
Whatever.
was traded to Carolina for Michael Barrett.
Okay.
Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not even digging any deeper, but if you got something, hit it up. If not, you let me know when you're ready,
No,
man.
what I had was the fucking Hall of Fame is a fucking joke.
Okay.
Did
What
you
are they
hear what
doing now?
Did you hear what they did?
I heard something about some possible rule changes. I don't know what any of that even
Yeah.
means. I didn't
So
even read it or whatever,
it
but
made a series of changes to its annual selection process. It reduced the waiting period for coaches from 5 to 1.
Shit,
So
I thought it was something to do with like the Hall of Fame game. I wasn't even okay. All right, so um, for coach, are you saying does not players? It's the same, but it's just coaches.
for coaches, yeah.
All right, because
Also,
coaches are usually a lot older than players, right? So
also, one coach will be named a finalist every year. It doesn't matter if there's not one coach. There will always every year there will always be one coach eligible for the Hall of Fame.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I agree with that, but I mean, unless they're like saying, "Hey, we've got like a back order of coaches that we need to put in the Hall of Fame." Maybe they do. Maybe they do. I don't know. I don't know.
And they're separating coaches from the contributor category. So
Okay.
coaches used to
So yeah,
be
like
part
you
of
could have like commentators and stuff, or reporters as contributors.
yeah, and then they added two screening committees to help trim the list of nominations down to 50 candidates each before they go to the official selection committee.
Okay. So I mean, with going from 5 to 1 seems extreme, but um, I guess I'm just like the wheels are turning, and part of me looks at it and thinks you do have guys like Belichick and Pete Carroll, and I'm sure there's others that aren't even in our heads right now because they've not been in the league in a while, but
Mm-hmm.
you've got some guys that are probably, old enough where maybe they're thinking, "Hey, let's shorten their window because we want them to be alive when they get in the Hall of Fame." And you never know if they're getting into their 70s or something, some shit could fucking randomly happen. Let's like give them that glory before whatever. I don't know. I don't know what their thinking is. That's just something that's coming in my mind. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So the thing is so like Carroll and Belichick wouldn't be able to be in the 2025 class because the selection process is already going on and it's too late to add them to it. So it looks like probably 2026 would be the first year.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
like
and what if they come back to coach though?
if they come back to coach, they're no longer eligible.
Yeah, but what if they already got in and then they come back to coach? Because like, what if fucking Sean McVay retired and then got in and he's like 45 and he decides I'm going to go back and coach because I'm still young.
Huh.
That
Interesting.
could, dude, that could fuck it up. A guy like McVay could totally fuck that up, right? Because,
Yeah.
dude, he could take
Well,
10 years off of coaching and come back and be like, my kids are getting close to high school now. I thought I'd come back and, fucking coach again. And then he could be like 0 for 100 and suck dick and totally tarnish his reputation, but he's already in the fucking Hall of Fame. Is there like an age minimum in addition to the time period you got to wait?
no.
I mean, I don't know that they could put an age minimum, right? Because then you'd get like some kind of fucking discrimination shit against them. But ageism.
There was one coach. Um, there was it Ditka? No, Ditka was. There was a coach that like a recent coach, like somebody that was inducted in the Hall of Fame that was inducted and then came back to coach.
Okay.
It might have been Ditka. Because Ditka was inducted as a tight end. Huh.
Okay, as a player. Well, yeah, no, because he was a fucking phenomenal tight end at the
Mm-hmm.
time, dude. There were not tight ends like that back then. Hall of Famers as how Hall of Famer players did as head coaches. Only two players have won a championship as a player and a head coach. Mike Ditka and Joe Stidar both were Chicago Bears. My ninja. My ninja.
When was Don Shula inducted into the Hall of Fame?
No, he didn't come back and coach after he was in the Hall of Fame. He didn't come back and coach after he was done with the Dolphins, man.
Yeah, that's true.
God, I fucking love Don Shula, dude. I wish I would have fucking met that guy at some point in my life. Such a fucking legend, dude. Now I gotta meet Dan Marino before I die, or before he dies, before anybody dies. I gotta meet Dan Marino. Fuck. Fucking, it wasn't Bill Parcells, was it? That you're thinking of? Is he in the Hall of Fame? He's gotta be in the Hall of Fame. Following his final retirement, served as vice president, inducted in the Hall of Fame 2013. So I don't know if he coached after 2013.
He didn't. You're talking about
his last one was with the fucking Cowboys, right? And then, yeah, that had to be way before. That had to be before 2013 because they had
2006.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know who else would. Sean McVay is going to be a guy to fucking challenge that.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the. Maybe Gibbs?
Joe Gibbs? Ooh. So he was enshrined in 96.
And he coached in the 2000s. 2004 to 2007. That's what I was thinking.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, it's happened.
I was like, I know it happened, and like, who the fuck is it? Because he came back and coached Washington again in the early 2000s.
Fucking 12-year break, dude. A 12-year break.
All right. I knew it happened.
No, I'm glad you checked it out, man. I'm glad you checked it out. Joe Gibbs.
Anyways.
All right. So, Joe Gibbs, and it'll be Sean McVay next.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Are we ready for the main event?
Fuck yeah, we are. So, AFC, NFC North Outlook, James. We're starting with the AFC like we always do. Alphabetically, I guess we've got Baltimore first.
So, with Baltimore, they signed Derrick Henry, and signings are re-additions.
Oh, shit. I got to pull up our fucking leisure report. Sorry, excuse me.
Offensive lineman Josh Jones, wide receiver, whoever the fuck that is, defensive tackle Justin Matabuke, cornerback Arthur Mullet, defensive end Brent Urban, edge Kyle Van Noy.
Oh, yeah, Kyle Van Noy, dude. Old Lions guy. sucked dick for the Lions,
Sucked dick for the
and he's
Lions.
fucking
Awesome.
played like fucking a dozen years elsewhere and won some Super Bowls.
Yeah. Departures. Linebacker, Patrick Queen.
Yep.
Edge, 1 year guy, always 1 year guy, Jadeveon Clowney. Lost running back, Gus Edward. Safety, Geno Stone. Tackle, Morgan Moses. Guard, John Simpson. Guard, Kevin Zeitler. Cornerback, Ronald Darby. Pretty shitty free agency for them. Draft picks, Nate Wiggins. Offensive tackle, Roger Rosengarten. And edge,
Adisa
Isaac. So draft-wise, Wiggins was a great pick. Rosengarten and Isaac, they're pretty good picks. Right around par, fit needs.
It's just so hard with Baltimore, right? Because they've been so good at finding and developing talent that even when you see like a free agency like this, where it looks like maybe they've lost more than they brought in, it's almost like this is them every year. And they have so many guys just coming up that it just, to me, one of the other, I would say probably the bigger concern is with Mike McDonald gone at defensive coordinator, do you have a gap there? And that's something that they've seemed to overcome throughout the years. But it's like at any time you have one of those changes, there's like a pivot and you got to stop and say, is this finally going to be a problem for us? Or do we have enough internal consistency that we're already developing and moving on the next guy behind him or whatever,
Oh, exactly. So in the way too early, I had them at 11-6.
Okay.
I put when I fully analyze it, I still have them at 11-6.
Gotcha. Okay. So
I think the 6 losses are kind of spread out through the season, like a little bit. Like, I mean, they have a lot of their 3 of their first 5 are on the road. They have a lot of road stretches in there. They have a couple tough games. Like early in the season, they have a bunch of tough games. Like at Kansas City, then Vegas, then at Dallas, Buffalo, at Cincinnati. 3 of those at Dallas, at Kansas City, and at Cincinnati. That's a rough stretch of the schedule.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll just jump in right on the heels of that. Is that I had them at 13-4 in my super early, and dude, when I revised it, I dropped them down to 9-8, which I think is maybe a little too harsh. But the schedule, I think, for them is brutal. And the fucked up part of it is that I have them as the highest rated team in the AFC North, but because of the schedule, I've actually had them fall all the way to the bottom of the AFC North, which I have a hard time believing it's going to happen in practice, but in the model, that's just the way it shakes out, my man. And so, Baltimore always overperforms.
I still have them making the playoffs. I have them as second in the North, but still making the playoffs.
Nice. Okay. All right, then. What do we got?
Cincinnati. Cincinnati had a pretty good free agency and draft. So in free agency, additions, re-signings: Trent Brown at tackle, Sheldon Rankins defensive tackle, Von Bell safety, Mike Gesicki at tight end, Geno Stone at safety, Zach Moss at running back, Cody Ford at guard, T. Higgy is not a fucking tight end. This article says he's
Correct.
a tight end.
He's big, but he is not a tight end. He was franchise tagged as a wide receiver.
Yes. Drew Sample at tight end, and I don't even know who Trenton Irwin is.
I think there was a typo in this when we were looking at it last week, too.
Yeah, I think so, too. Departures: Jonah Williams at tackle, DJ Reader at defensive tackle, Joe Mixon, that's a big one. Corner, Chidobe Awuzie.
But is Mixon a big one, man? I mean, he was. I think he peaked, right, and he was. They might have gotten out at the right time with him.
They might have, and you might be right on that. I'm just, it feels saying it. It feels like a big one.
It does because he was a really good running back for a long time. I just, man, we know that when running backs hit the wall, dude, most of the time they fucking hit it hard. AKA fucking Austin Eckler last year, fucking bitched about his contract and all this shit, and then did fucking nothing. Like a lot of these guys, man, when it's just running backs. It's tough, dude. It's tough.
They lost tight end Irv Smith, safety Nick Scott, and wide receiver Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd, I think, is the one that I would underscore that as being a bigger issue than Joe Mixon, because with Burrow coming back and you're hoping he stays healthy, Tyler Boyd like really rounded out a phenomenal top 3 wide receiver group. And I'm sure they got a guy that they're looking at, or maybe they think Mike Gesicki can unlock some of that or whatever. But man, Tyler Boyd was just ultra productive for a long time with them, and he just slowly fell down the pecking order because they kept bringing in higher pedigree guys and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It's like, and that's okay. Good for him. He's gone on to fucking Tennessee or wherever he's at. So.
Yeah, so the only 2 draft picks that we really need to talk about are Chris Jenkins and Amarius Mims.
Yeah.
Jermaine Burton, who the fuck knows anything about him. Overall, they've had I think, a solid offseason. They weren't complacent with the offensive line. They're doing stuff to protect.
Yeah, they got to keep working it, right? Because even though they did, what was it, like the other year and even last year they made some moves, that offensive line has still not been great, man. For everything they've done with it, they should be like somewhere in that top 5 to top 10 range, and they're not. And so, that's a problem. They got to keep fucking working it, dude.
So in the way too early, I had them second in the division at 12-5.
Okay.
I now have them first in the division at 12-5.
All right, so the record stayed the same, but because Baltimore slid a little.
No, actually, I had way too early. I had Pittsburgh winning the division.
Oh, all right, yeah, because Baltimore stayed the same, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, all right. Now I'm putting it together. So, you said 12-5 for these guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so in my super early, I had Cincinnati crushing it at 13-4, second behind Baltimore. In my revised, I've actually got them winning the division in a tiebreaker with Cleveland at 11-6, which is fucked up that I got Cleveland in the tiebreaker. But dude, I'm telling you, the schedules are funky for these AFC North teams where it's like Cleveland got like the luck of the draw with the schedule compared to these other guys, man. And some of that's based on home and away going in their favor, where they're getting some of the harder ones at home, where it's like they have more potential to like overcome that. And so either way, Cincinnati shaved a couple, but still, solid 11-6 for me.
All right. So then we're on to Cleveland, which you've already given the record. Key additions: Jerry Jeudy, Quentin Jefferson at defensive tackle, linebacker Jordan Hicks, running back Donta Foreman, quarterback Tyler Huntley. That's a key addition because who knows with Watson. Linebacker Devin Bush, quarterback Jameis Winston. And it's another key addition because who knows with that fucking quarterback. Guard Michael Dunn, tackle Shelby Harris, defensive tackle Maurice Hurst, safety Rodney McLeod Jr. They lost Joe Flacco. Who would have ever thought Joe Flacco at this stage in his career would have been a key departure?
Would have been the hero of the team last year, yeah.
Linebackers Anthony Walker Jr. and Sion Takitaki.
Oh, yeah, Taki.
Center, Nick Harris. Tight end, Harrison Bryant. It's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Draft-wise, they picked up Zach Zinter, which was a terrible fucking draft pick, and defensive tackle Michael Hall Jr., which was a great draft pick.
Yeah, he was Ohio State, I think. Yeah.
So, I mean, they had, like, their biggest issue is, like, they're hamstrung by Watson. And they will be until they figure out what the fuck to do there. So
I like what they're doing. And I like how much they did with the defense, right? Because losing those linebackers, don't understate it, but they did so much on defense where none of those moves on defense are necessarily outstanding. I do like Jordan Hicks a lot, but when you just look at how goddamn good Schwartz is with that defense, this is like a sign of, hey, man, he's saying, no, keep it coming because we need to stay hot on defense.
So I had them at 8 and 9 in the way too early. They stayed the same, 8 and 9.
Okay.
Last in the division.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I mean, I already told you 11 and 6. I think super early I had Cleveland at 7 and 10. That's how much I think the schedule is in their favor, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And you know me, I'm a fucking Watson hater, dude. I'm a Watson hater. I just think that for this division, the schedule makers gave them a fucking layup, dude.
Speaking of schedule makers not doing a team any fucking favors.
Pittsburgh.
First of all, Pittsburgh doesn't play a division game until week 11. And they finish Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cleveland, at Philly, at Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincinnati. So
that's hard. That's hard as a coach. That's hard as players because that means you have 10 weeks of almost not knowing what to expect, right? 10 weeks of teams that you don't normally see.
It's just that and the fact that, like, okay, so you give them all 6 of their division games in the last 8 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
And then the 2 games besides that are Kansas City and Philadelphia.
Yeah. I mean, here's the good and bad with that, right? I mean, you covered the bad. You covered the bad. The good is that if Mike Tomlin can do what Mike Tomlin always does, they control their own destiny for the playoffs.
True.
Because coming down to it, he's going to be his best against the division. And if he can be playoff relevant going into that stretch, that means he figured it out with either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. The defense is humming like they always are, and they can fucking at least cut half of those final games to wins, probably roll into the playoffs. But it's just kind of fucked up the way that he's got to do it and get there.
All right. So I'm going to do it a little different with them. Their departures, Kenny Pickett, not doing anything. Mitch Trubisky, never did anything. Deontay Johnson, never did anything. Cornerback, James Pierre.
Deontay Johnson did have a couple 1,000-yard seasons, right? So, I mean,
did he?
Well, he had at least one.
Did he?
Deontay Johnson, yeah, he had at least one 1,000-yard season.
Did he?
I'm telling you he did. Look it up. We were just talking about him last week. We were comparing him to Adam Thielen and who's going to be the wide receiver 1 in Carolina.
Thank you for telling me where he went, because I apparently can't spell Deontay, and I came up with some other person when I tried to. All right, depth chart and stats. He had one 1,000-yard season. Okay. I mean, that's not bad. 5 years, 4,300 yards receiving. Okay, so
he did.
He did.
But yeah, I
Um,
mean, I hear you, man. It's I mean,
cornerback.
they're George Pickens is the guy now, right? And they've got Fryermuth as a really good and really underrated tight end, which actually I like a lot if Russell Wilson can hang on to that QB1 spot because his time historically with Seattle, Denver, hard to evaluate, but he's been able to get good production out of his tight ends. And he's never had a guy really like Fryermuth. And so,
Hmm.
that could be the key to maybe Russell Wilson actually like unlocking success with Pittsburgh is, hey man, you finally got a
Possibly.
good tight end that you can lean on when other things aren't working for you. I mean, their offensive line is dog shit. I was just texting you about that the other day. I mean, if they don't figure that out, they're all fucked no matter what.
So they have a couple rookies on the offensive line. We'll get to them in a second. They lost tackle Chukwuma Okafor, defensive tackle Armon Watts, linebacker Mikhail Walker. We talked about it. Russ was traded for or signed or whatever, however the fuck they got Russ. They also got Justin Fields, linebacker Patrick Queen, cornerback Dante Jackson, wide receivers Quez Watkins and Van Jefferson, tackle Dean Lowry, safety Deshaun Elliott, and defensive line Montravius, I apologize,
Yeah.
Adams.
Yeah,
They had a
I think Deshaun Elliott's one of those underrated guys. He's good at safety. When you look at the wide receivers, Van Jefferson and Quez Watkins, Quez, he had a little pop in Philly, but I think Van Jefferson's maybe a little bit more stable. Patrick Queen, I'm hearing a lot of good things about him so far with Pittsburgh. And I think that they're thinking that, things didn't work out for him in Baltimore, but he can maybe like finally get to where they need him to be as a full-time starter in Pittsburgh. And then obviously the quarterback thing, we're going to see what happens. Justin Fields thinks he's shown enough to be the QB1. I really disagree with that. And then I don't really think Russell Wilson's been done any favors when you look how bad the offensive line's been. But
yeah.
um,
I think they had a phenomenal draft with Fontenot and Zach Frazier finally drafting offensive linemen.
yeah, and
Wide
Peyton
receiver
Wilson was a fucking steal.
Peyton Wilson was a steal, and wide receiver Roman Wilson. They had a fucking phenomenal draft. They're
Yeah,
like one of my favorite drafts that they had.
but they
Or
need those
their
offensive linemen to
to
develop
hit.
quickly
Yeah.
because so far it's not looking good. And I think the last preseason game, one or both of these guys were out. And so, either way, they need help on that offensive line.
So I had them at 13-4 in the way too early.
Nice.
I dropped them down a little bit.
Okay.
Still above 500 at 10-7 and still making the playoffs.
Gotcha. Okay.
I actually have them winning, having their 6 of their 7 losses starting from week 11.
Wow, you got them losing a lot at the end, huh?
I have them losing a lot at the end, winning a lot at the beginning. I have them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-1
Oh shit, I'm
going into
actually, dude,
week
I'm actually
11.
similar to you, dude. I got them at I got them starting 7-1, and I've got them going 8-2 to start, and then they slide at the end. Which I think means
Yeah,
when I look at it,
I mean I have them 9-2.
yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense because when I look at their team rating, I got them at an 84, which is the lowest in the North. And so those final 6 games, that's where they're likely to get beat up, and obviously they've got like 4 out of the last 6 or what is it? 4 out of the last 7 on the road. So, yeah, either way. Yeah, so I had them at 9-8 in the super early, and I've got them bumped up to 10-7. So we're right on the same page with Pittsburgh, man.
It's odd that we're right on the same page with Pittsburgh, but not only are we the same page, we have them basically the same. How they get there the same. That's an odd one.
I like it. I like it. I like having we're in line here. So now let's see what happens with the North.
All right. So we're gonna do a little bit different with the North.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to skip the second team alphabetically and go back to them at the end. Just give those viewers out there let them know we know that how the alphabet goes. We're purposely doing it that way.
Yes, we learned our ABCs.
Yes. All right. Chicago.
Chi-Town, the Windy City, fucking douchebags that had a fucking great offseason.
Fucking phenomenal offseason.
And they finished last year with great momentum on defense, too. Fuck these guys, man. I'm so pissed at Chicago.
So, key additions, re-signings. Keenan Allen, Ryan Bates, Kevin Byard, Gerald Everett, Coleman Shelton, DeAndre Swift, Jalen Johnson, and departures, Dan Feeney.
Dude, Dante Pettis has been a fucking beast in preseason so far. You forgot to mention him. Oh, but I get it. He's been under the radar and buried in the depth chart for a long time.
Yeah, he was I have to see it, and he's been a piece in the preseason.
We got to see it in the regular season, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So departures: Dan Feeney, Justin Fields, Donta Foreman, Darnell Mooney, Justin Jones. And not even worthwhile mentioning.
Yeah, I would say Mooney would be a factor had they not fucking brought in Keenan Allen and drafted a Dunze.
I haven't even gotten to their draft. Like Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, 2 top 10 picks. Possibly knocked out of the park, and then Kieran.
Close enough, my man. Yeah,
something like that.
Listen,
phenomenal fucking off season, phenomenal, decent, pretty good draft. I take umbrage with Caleb Williams. I think Drake May is a better quarterback, but that's just my own personal preference.
I gotcha. Yeah, and I mean, I think the way that they've worked in Caleb Williams in the preseason too has boosted his confidence big time and set him up for success. And we've talked about their schedule. We've talked about the weapons around him. I don't know that any quarterback has ever come into the fucking league with this kind of setup. Mm-hmm. And they have a really goddamn good defense, at least on paper. And they finished the year strong last year on defense, which means they should continue it. But the one signing here that I think that is very under the radar is the Gerald Everett signing. Mm-hmm. So we know they've got Cole Kmet at their one tight end, who's been really good. But Gerald Everett, man, he's like, in my opinion, just as goddamn good as Cole Kmet. If they start running 2 tight end sets, they're going to confuse a lot of defenses. Mm-hmm. And then they've got, when they're not running 2 tight ends, they've got 3 phenomenal wide receivers. And then Swift, love him or hate him, he's hurt a lot, right? But Swift is going into a situation where you've got Swift, Khalil Herbert, and Roshan Johnson at running back. Dude, the only question on this offense is, can their offensive line be middle of the road? They don't even need to be good. They just need to be middle of the fucking road, because they've got so many weapons that they can confuse any defense, any game, by getting so many people involved. That's how you cover up a fucking leaky offensive line, my man.
Yeah, and the schedule makers did them a lot of favors. Yeah. They, like Pittsburgh, played their first division game in week 11. Mm-hmm. And which is perfect for Caleb Williams to get used to it, not have to play, because division games are tough. And not playing less familiar opponents to the coaching staff means you're less familiar to the opponent, and they
Yeah.
can't really scheme against your offense that well. With
Yeah, and,
that,
and that's where you want to rely on defense, I think, in my opinion.
yes. With that said, I had them in the way too early, going 6-11.
Okay.
I have them going 5-12 this year.
So you still are not a believer in Chicago.
No.
And it's a rookie quarterback, so, nothing wrong with, not believing. Okay. I had them at 4-13, and after looking at the Madden ratings and looking at the schedule and really digging more into it, I bumped them up to 8-9. And so, hang on, where did you say you were super early?
6-11.
So you came down and I went up. All right. So it's just interesting to point out because it's 6-11. I thought you might have gone up at least one or two, but okay, I got you. Rookie quarterbacks are so unpredictable, man. You don't have to justify it. I get it, man.
My issue with Chicago is I don't think Eberflus is a good head coach.
Oh, I don't believe he is at all, but I think he's got maybe like a top 3 GM in the league right now.
Oh, he has a great
GM.
He has a great GM, but I don't think he can coach his way out of a paper bag.
I'm just saying, when you have a GM that good, it's like a lot of coaches they coach to their talent on the team, right? There's not that many like transcendent coaches. And so I think that Poles is giving him such a fucking great roster that it's like maybe this is the year where he finally gets it done, because I'm with you. I do not believe in him at all as a coach.
So then we have the Green Bay Packers.
Yes.
All right.
Heads.
Now this is where my diving into the kickers comes into play.
Okay.
Key additions: Josh Jacobs, Greg Joseph at kicker, Xavier McKinney at safety, cornerback Corey Ballentine, AJ Dillon resigned, cornerback Kaisan Nixon, linebacker Eric Wilson. They lost Bakhtiari, offensive tackle. Not that big of a loss because he has not played much the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
Linebacker Devondre Campbell.
That's kind of a big one, right?
That's a big one. They lost Aaron Jones, but they got Josh Jacobs. If Josh Jacobs can be Josh Jacobs of old, that's fine. Safety Jonathan Owens, guard Runyon. John Runyon, I think Runyon's been hurt a lot too the last few years.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's because of the bloodline, right? That a lot of people focused on him. And I mean, where's John Runyon now? I mean, and I hope he can get back on track, but I just want to see what team is he on now.
Is he even in the league anymore?
Well, I'm talking about the John Runyon, the young one, the junior, the son. So he's on the Giants now. I think you're thinking of our John Runyon from our era, younger, or years ago. He was fucking great.
Yeah, I think that's.
This is his son. He's been on the team for the last 3 years or something.
Yeah, you're right. I got them confused when I read it because the article didn't put Junior.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Draft-wise, the Packers had a terrible first round, a great second round, and a fucking ridiculously, absurdly dumb third round. That's all you need to know. I'm not even going to go through their fucking draft picks because, like,
Sure.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, dude, I like
I
the
like the
Xavier McKinney signing for sure.
I like the draft pick of Edgerrin Cooper and John Bullard. I hate all their
Yeah.
other draft picks.
Yeah, I like Edgar and Cooper. Yep. Um, with Josh Jacobs, my concern there is just that I was always a big fucking Aaron Jones fan,
Mm-hmm.
and that I felt like if he got the workhorse carries, he would have been a top five running back every year. But I also believe that early on in his career, he got hurt a few times, and that's why they never wanted to give him that amount of carries. Josh Jacobs has shown that he can be a workhorse and be pretty healthy throughout his career. But man, he had such a bad yards per carry last year. I forget what it was. It was like 3.5 or 3.4 or something. It was so
Mm-hmm.
low. And I get it. The Raiders were in flux and the offensive line and all these things. But now he's coming in to a team that likes to share the load with A.J. Dillon. To me, it's just more about fucking Jordan Love and the wide receivers.
Yeah.
And then did they do enough on defense, which they didn't do much, but they did solidify the secondary, which was a little bit leaky last year. Green Bay's tough, man. They're tough because they have in my opinion, they have a good coach. And Jordan Love has finally ascended to what they wanted him to be with that first round pick. Can he do it again this year? I think it's going to be harder now that he's on everybody's radar. But I do think that he elevated to the level that he's that good that he probably can.
So I had them at 9-8 and making the playoffs.
Sure.
I now have them at 10-7 and still making the playoffs.
All right, you had him at 9-8. Fuck, I just fucked up my goddamn thing here. Sorry, give me just a second. What do you? I'm sorry. What do you have him at now?
10-7.
My fucking. You had them at 9-8. Now they're at 10-7. Okay, so I had them in the super early. At holy shit. I had him in the super early at 13-4.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, man, I must have been going crazy back then. But I dropped them down to 9-8. So I think we're coming back into reality. And I guess the 13-4 probably was like riding high on the last half of the year, right? That
Yeah.
they fucking lit it up. But can they do that again? Oh, man, when I'm looking at the schedule, you're starting at Philly. I think you get punched in the face right out the gate. Yeah, they can win Indy. I actually have them losing at Tennessee, but they could win that game. Home against Minnesota, you win that game. I think they lose on the road to the Rams. And then, man, it just, I guess it's like a tale of like two scenarios. I got them losing a lot on the road and winning a lot at home is basically what it comes down to for me.
Yeah. So I have kind of similar road.
Do you have
It's
them, do
kind
you have
of
them beating Jacksonville?
yes.
Okay, because I got Jacksonville winning that game, but that's one where I could see flipping, and then it gets them to 10-7 in my model.
I'm good.
We're back.
All right. We were moving to Minnesota.
The Minnesota Vikings.
I just wanted to see something. They had a pretty decent draft, but we'll talk
I'm
about
sure
that
I
in a
probably bumped them up. I was so down on Minnesota.
Oh, let's just get there. Linebacker additions, resignings, linebacker Blake Cashman, quarterback Sam Darnold. I wouldn't have mentioned it if it weren't for the McCarthy injury and him being out. Edge Jonathan Greenard, cornerback Shaq Griffin. Running back Aaron Jones. Defensive lineman Jonah Williams. Defensive lineman Jonathan Bullard. Tight end, whoever the fuck that is. Offensive tackle David Quessenberry. Key departures, Kirk Cousins, big one. Marcus Davenport, linebacker Jordan Hicks, edge Daniil Hunter, kicker Greg Joseph,
Ew.
wide receiver KJ Osborne, and linebacker DJ, whoever the fuck that is.
Want him.
Draft, they had a good draft. They got Dallas Turner on edge and Kyrie Jackson. No, whoa, never mind. They had a good draft on paper until Kyrie Jackson thing happened and J.J. McCarthy's injury happened. So really the draft, Dallas Turner this year.
Yeah, they're a little bit snake bit from the draft standpoint for sure.
Yeah. So in the way too early, I was really high on them. I had them going 10 and 7.
Okay.
That was assuming Sam Darnold was not their starting quarterback. I now have them last in the division at 4 and 13.
Oh my goodness. We are you have a 10 and 7. I feel like we've inverted on them a little bit, but not like extreme. Because I had them at fucking 1 and 16, and you know I was hating on them hard. I was like, I don't have a path for them to win shit this year. I fucking hate their roster. I hate their schedule. Fuck these guys. After I rated the team and looked at the schedule, I bumped them up to 6 and 11, which I think is probably more realistic because they're a team that even without Cousins last year found a way to win games that I wasn't expecting them to win. But I don't think they're anywhere close to a playoff team. And so that's kind of the crazy thing is that some people still think that they're like on the cusp of the playoffs, even if J.J. McCarthy's out. And I think the only way that happens is that if Darnold was like truly fucking touched by Kyle Shanahan in the 1 year in San Francisco, because otherwise what we've seen from fucking Sam Darnold is just dog shit. And so I don't care that you got Justin Jefferson and, you know, what's his face, the other younger guy, Addison. Man, I just, I'm not seeing it with the Vikings, man. I'm still not seeing it.
Yeah, with Darnold being their quarterback, I way reverse course on them. I thought J.J. McCarthy could do, because he's kind of statuesque and decently accurate like Cousins, so I thought it was just like a poor man's Kirk Cousins and be fine. And I just don't think Sam Darnold is a professional quarterback.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I know that you're tingling. You're ready to go here, James. So let's do it, my man.
All right. So we have the Lions. Key additions re-signing. Edge, Marcus Davenport. Cornerback, Carlton Davis. Defensive lineman, DJ Reader. Guard, Kevin Zeitler. Kicker from the UFL, I can't remember his name.
Oh,
Guard,
Jake, what was his name? Jake something?
Yeah, Jake something. Guard, Graham Glasgow. Cornerback, Emmanuel Mosley. Wide receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones, who I'm reading will not make the 53-man or 51-man roster. Will not make the roster.
Okay.
Departures, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Jonah Jackson at guard. Benito Jones, defensive line. Josh Reynolds, wide receiver. Tracy Walker at safety. And Cam... What the fuck was his last name?
Cam Sutton that went
Cam
back
Sutton.
to Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cam Sutton.
Yeah, cut and then signed by Pittsburgh, which is just weird how the whole personal conduct thing works, but whatever.
But then he's like suspended. Didn't like he get released by Pittsburgh?
He was released by us and then signed by Pittsburgh and then I think suspended, but like it was like lower than what people were expecting or whatever. So,
He was suspended for 8 games. Okay.
or 8 games seems like a lot, but yeah, okay, maybe it was weird that Pittsburgh signed him and then
Yeah.
he was suspended for that many games. I think that when they signed him, people were, or maybe I was expecting it to be less or whatever. But yeah, either way, he was good in Pittsburgh, and maybe he'll come in the second half of the year and help them a lot. I don't know, but we didn't want to take the chance on him, and that's fine. We revamped the
Well,
secondary.
well, no, we cut his ass because we found out that
Yeah,
that the police in Florida were looking for him or wanted him, told him, and he just left the building and didn't go turn his ass in.
yeah,
Like
yeah. We
like
didn't like the conduct,
yeah.
the character, and that's fine.
Draft but the Lions have had a good free agency trading or good offseason in that. They had a pretty good draft with Terrion Arnold and Enos Rackstraw. Um, I don't even know anything about Giovanni Manu.
Yeah,
Whoever the fuck that is.
yeah. I mean, I'm bummed out that we lost Gardner Johnson,
Yeah, I'm
but
bummed
he
out
didn't
that we
play
lost
that
Gardner
much
Johnson.
last year anyhow. And I think maybe that's why I'm bummed out, right? Is that I liked him a lot as a player in
Hmm.
Philadelphia, and I wanted that same intensity on our defense, and then we missed it, and now he's gone. And he left in such a poor fashion that it's like, okay, whatever, go back to Philly, we don't care. Jonah Jackson, I don't really miss because I think that Graham Glasgow outplayed him anyhow, and
Hmm.
Graham Glasgow's got some versatility to play center. If anything happens with Frank Ragnow, I hope it doesn't. Knock on wood, all that stuff. Um, I think DJ Reader is like the dark horse of everything we did. If this guy can stay healthy and play like he's played in Cincinnati, it can fucking boost that goddamn defensive line like nobody's business that we've been needing. Marcus Davenport, I think, is just another rotational guy. He did not solve the running mate to Hutchinson, but if you've got Hutchinson, Reeder, and Alan McNeil all firing on all cylinders, it can be a very potent defensive line. And so I'm excited by what the Lions are doing. You know me, I'm always a little bit tight, but this is the year that I'm just like, fuck man, I think they're gonna fucking just kick some fucking ass again.
So
So
the last line about the Lions in the article we're referencing for the additions and draft picks and stuff, I hadn't read it up until now, and as soon as I read it, it just gave me fucking chills. The last line is after locking up both Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown with long-term deals, the Lions are poised to challenge for the franchise's first Super Bowl in 2024 and for the foreseeable future.
yeah, because they're fucking building the right way for the first time ever, probably.
Yeah. So in the way too early, I had them with the number 2 seed in the NFC at 13-4.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I scratched that. Number 3 seed in the NFC at 13-4. Since this is my last,
17-0.
I have them now with the number 1 seed in the NFC at 14-3.
My ninja.
And the thing that scares the fuck out of me about this is I don't have them losing until Buffalo.
would be intense. That would be intense. Oh, and,
I
and,
have
and if and
them,
if they lost at Buffalo, it's like because we've got it in the bag, we're just gonna let this one go.
but what also scares the fuck out of me is I have them finishing the season 1-3.
With two out of the last three on the road, and three out of the last four, you get Buffalo in there. I got you.
Yeah, well, the loss to I have them losing to
It's at
Minnesota.
home.
Last game of
Oh
the
yeah,
year is at
that's a
home,
throwaway. Yeah.
but it's a throwaway game because I have them the team that could Philadelphia and San Francisco are the other two teams, and
Yeah.
I have them beating
Well, yeah, I think it could come
San
down to them in
Francisco.
San Francisco in Week 17, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I got it going the
No,
other
no,
way.
actually, no, no, no. I have them. It's locked up because San Francisco is. I have them with 14 wins,
Oh, and San Fran's at
and
13.
San Francisco at 13
But
wins,
but
and
it's be but it's
I have
because you got them getting that win at San Fran that bumps the
no,
record too.
no. I have them losing to San Francisco. I have them
Oh
losing the
shit.
last two
Okay.
weeks but San Francisco, I have them going into the last week at 12-4, and
Gotcha. So they're still playing, yeah. All right, I hear you, man. So yeah, I actually I had the Lions at 14-3 in the super early, and I brought them down to 13-4.
we just flipped on
Yeah, we just
it.
flipped a little bit, but it's just that, now that I got their rating and I'm looking at the schedule, um, I shaved one and that's all it is. But man, I'm just to me it's I'm fucking nervous as hell. I've never been this high on the Lions before.
hmm
And you know how it is, James. All it takes is like one or two of the wrong injuries and the whole thing's derailed. And I believe with the Lions, especially after watching two of their preseason games now, that depth is still a big fucking issue. I
hmm
think that we have built a fucking phenomenal core of players, and we have a great fucking leader as a head coach. But goddamn, man, we need to get like a second layer on the depth chart to make me feel more confident with what's happening with these guys. If one or two key guys go down, it becomes so sketchy, dude. It becomes so sketchy with the Lions.
hmm
But yeah, I'm still pumped. 13-4, still fucking fired up. I have them going second in the conference at 13-4.
And the other thing I'm going to say is the last two games of the year, I have them having the number one seed locked up after beating Chicago in week 16.
Oh God, that'd be so sweet. It'd just be like a cherry on top. Like fuck you,
Or
Chicago.
basically locked up because I have, yeah, locked up because I have San Francisco winning their last two games and I have Philadelphia winning their last two games and both of them at 13-4.
Gotcha.
So I have Detroit has it locked up after Chicago. So that's why I have them losing their last two because it doesn't
Yeah,
fucking matter.
yeah, they're golden.
Like they're putting their starters out there for a half maybe.
Yeah, just stay warm, guys. Don't
Yeah.
get rusty before the playoffs. Fucking, oh man, James. I'm drinking, but because I
Here's
want to.
my my fucking like I don't know. I think I'll lose my shit if the Lions actually start 13-0.
By the way, this was a tasty one. The Old Forester 1910.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I usually drink the 1920, the one that's like 110 or 115 proof or whatever, but I wanted to go down I'm trying to get off the barrel proof, man, because that shit'll just fucking rip your head off after a while, and it burns your fucking stomach out. But yeah, I do like this old Forster 1910, man. It's a good one. That's not a plug, YouTube. That's not a plug. We do not get paid by them. I wish we did, but we do not.
Oh, and just in case we forget to mention it, our AI was down this week, so our AI will be back up next week, and we'll have better stats for you as we go in. The AI will generate the AI version of the AI.
Yes, AI. Thank you, James. I don't know that the AI helped us in our views last week, but or the week before, but oh my God, hang on, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out because we're at like a fucking all-time low here. Let's see.
You're just delaying because you have to think of question of the week.
Well, oh yeah, no, I didn't even think about that yet. But let's just see. So let's go to our videos. 7 views. Oh, the week before was worse, 6 views. Oh my goodness. It's always bad when the video before is dwarfed. So we have, oh my gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row, less than 20 views.
Oh.
And then, oh my gosh, we got one that popped up to 43. I think I know why it popped up to 43. Our super early 2024 team predictions. The thumbnail glitched. It says Super 2024 prediction. So people are watching that for some reason, probably not the right reason. And then, dude, like the next fucking 5, 10, 15, probably the next 15 videos only have 20 views, man.
Total.
Oh, I remember early on. I remember when we were like in our first year, we had a period where we were at like 40 views a week and we couldn't break it. Somehow we're not even that good anymore, James. And that was 3+ years ago. Yeah. Yeah.
Good Lord. All right. So unless you want to talk about the Lions, which we could probably talk for another 3 hours about the Lions and
Yeah.
the intricacies of how their offense is running and what the AI thinks of their prospects for this year and stuff like that. We can move on to question of the week.
All right, because I got nothing better. I'm going to kind of like do a little bit of what I did last week. We talked about Deontay Johnson like relishing with being a wide receiver one again, and I kind of was like, hey man, you don't really have it in the bag yet. You shouldn't be talking that way. For this week, it's Justin Fields is making comments that he believes he's shown enough to be the starter in Pittsburgh, and I guess I wanted your opinion of who's going to be the QB1 in Pittsburgh. And it's tricky, right? Because it seems like it's going to be Russ out of the gate, but now Tomlin has said that it's like like an incomplete study or whatever his quote was from this past week, putting it in doubt. To me, it's a no-brainer. It's going to be Russ in week 1. And I think it's going to be Russ probably for the majority of the year, maybe the entire year if he doesn't get hurt. But I don't know. I think Russ he's the game manager that they want and need. It's just a matter of can they get the offensive line to be halfway decent. If that offensive line sucks, Russ is going to be in major trouble. And maybe by week 4, 5, or 6, they're going to be calling for Justin Fields, and that's the wild card to me. But what do you think about that quarterback situation in Pittsburgh, man?
So there's an old saying in football: if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's saying they got 2 quarterbacks.
No. Let me finish. I don't think either of them are the number one quarterback.
Okay.
I think they're going to find some weird ass way where they're going to be splitting time and they're going to find ways to get him on the field. And they've done this in the past in Pittsburgh initially with what the fuck was his name?
Oh, like Cordell Stewart?
Yes, thank you,
Well,
Cordell Stewart.
That's a while back, but yeah.
But they have done it like he initially, when he initially was there, like he wasn't the starter, but like
Yeah, he was the Slash, they called him, right?
Yeah, so like his first 2 years, played in 10 games, played in 16
you think Justin
games,
Fields will be the
started
Slash?
2. Exactly, and I also,
which with Arthur Smith at offensive coordinator, right? You could see him dial up some plays like that because Tannehill had some mobility at unexpected times in Tennessee, and then Derrick Henry had unexpected moments passing the ball in Tennessee. I just wonder how you sprinkle. Well, I guess you sprinkle Fields in. You just put him in at quarterback, and you just don't know if he's going to run or pass.
Yeah, and like the thing with Cordell Stewart, like I remembered like one game he like they put him out there as the fucking punter. I remember that. I think it was like in a playoff game too.
Oh man. Yeah,
like,
who was their coach back then? Oh man, what was his name? Fucking loved that guy, man. He didn't quit. He retired right after they won a Super Bowl. With the mustache and the chin.
Yeah. It
man.
was. So we're talking about like 1996 Pittsburgh Steelers. It was Bill Cowher.
Yeah, Bill Cowher, man.
God, why couldn't I come up with his fucking name?
Which is actually wild because I just looked him up and it's saying Bill Cowher is only 52 years old. How is that possible, James?
Bill Cowher is not 52 years old. He is 67.
Then this must be a different. Oh, fuck. I typed in Bill Cowher and it pulled up Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's 52 years old.
Makes more sense. It makes more sense.
Oh my God. No, all right. All right. So dude, this is wild. I don't know how I give you a print screen of this. So I typed it in. It pulled up Mike Tomlin, but with a picture of Bill Cowher. Here, let's how do I Command Shift 3? I think I just did it. Now I got to send this to you. Here we go. Oh, I typed in old Pittsburgh Steelers coach. That's why. So it brought up Mike Tomlin, but for whatever reason, it brought up a picture of Bill Cowher. Yeah, I was like, no way is he only 52. All right, how old is he?
Holy shit! You're right. It does do that.
So, yeah, you just pulled it up, so I don't even have to send it to you.
Yeah, I just typed in old Pittsburgh Steelers coach. It says
Mike Tomlin, but it's got a picture of Bill Cowher.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy, man. Well, that makes it easy for me. I don't have to send it to you, but wow, why does it do that? Oh, that's funny.
Next to it has Bill Cowher, and then it has Tomlin. It has Tomlin and Cowher, and then 3 pictures of Tomlin.
It should just be a picture of Tomlin.
Yeah. So Bill Cowher is 67.
Yeah. When I was saying it, it didn't even process in my brain yet. It was like, holy shit, he's that young? then it's like no, because like how can he be that young when I'm already getting close to that age? I mean, not that close, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, if Bill Cowher was only 52,
Oh, it'd be fucking
that
messing me
that
up, dude.
that would mean he started coaching. He was coaching the Steelers in the 90s
In
at
like
the age
his
of
20s.
28.
Yeah. Whoa, the McVay before McVay. The
Yeah,
McVay before that nobody ever talked about. Well, yeah, which wouldn't have happened because McVay was the youngest fucking coach and all this shit. Yeah.
yeah. So, oh hell. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So they're gonna do something like Justin Fields is gonna be like Taysom Hill. Like,
Well, I
man,
would love to see that actually. If they could make him a Taysom Hill, I would love to see that.
yeah, and they're just gonna find ways for him to be on the field and
Yeah.
maybe throw him in there as a kick returner at some point.
Well, yeah, but he already like shot down the kick returner thing, all right? And when I
No,
heard that,
I know, I was being
yeah,
facetious about it.
but when I originally heard that, I thought, you know what, dude? If you got the balls to do that, that means you're telling everybody I belong in this league and I'm that good of an athlete that I'll do whatever I need to do to be in this league. I would
Hmm.
have mad fucking respect for Justin Fields if he did that shit, dude.
But how quickly it was shot down tells me there's something to it.
Because they got a different role for him.
Yeah, like how quickly the no, like there's how quickly he shut down the him being a kick returner.
Is that he's too good for that.
No, no, like there was like there's some truth to it.
Oh, all right. You think it was a hard denial because he's going to like sneak attack somebody
Yeah,
and all of a sudden return a kick.
yeah. Like I think
It'd be
there's
interesting. It'd be
possibly
interesting.
something there.
Yeah. I'd be good with that, man. I'd be good with that. I mean, I did hear that Tomlin helped EA Sports like configure the new kick return in the game for Madden 25 because like, you know, they got like the whole new
Hmm.
deal and they were wanting a head coach or somebody to consult them on it on how teams are going to like actually return these kicks and a lot of people are saying a lot of things, right? Like I've heard that there's going to be kind of like coffin corner kicks, kind of like they do with punters. And then I've heard that there's going to be like surprise formations with the blockers that like you're not going to see in preseason because nobody wants to show their hand just yet. And so like I'm hearing that it could actually be like some fireworks this year, but you know they've got to like iron out the wrinkles, you know, and wait to see in the regular season
Hmm.
because right now it's a ton of penalties. That's all I see. Is that like fucking half of them are fucking flagged.
Yeah, I haven't honestly watched a kickoff in preseason yet. I probably should check that out to figure out what the fuck it is.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they got to kick it like the ball has to land in the field between the 20 and the goal line, and it has to be returned. If they kick it out of bounds, the returning team gets the ball at the 40. If they kick it into the end zone and they decide to not return it, they get the ball, I think, at the 25, which is kind of weird. To me, it seems like you should almost be looking at the kick into the end zone the same as it's being out of bounds.
Yeah.
It's like you should be telling the kicker it has to be in the zone or it's going to the 40. It's kind of weird that it's like, oh, if it goes out of bounds, it's at the 40, but if it goes in the end zone, it's only 25.
Well, I mean, it's better than um
Getting rid
the
of it? Yes.
well, no, the CFL rule where if you get a touchback, you get a point.
Yeah, no, that's weird. I mean, I guess it's just different, but it's
I
weird to
think it's
us. Yeah.
I think they call it like a rouge or something like that.
Oh, the Canadian Rouge. Put Rouge on it. Yeah, the
And
Canucks.
but I think that's with any kick.
Okay.
want touch back point, not screen. Yeah, Canadian football rouge is a 1 point score that's awarded to certain plays that involve the ball being kicked into the end zone and not returned from it.
Okay. They want
If
to
the
be
ball
little
is down
rougers.
in the end zone after, that's when it's not awarded. Is it? I think it's just kickoff. It looks like. Apparently, the lowest scoring game in CFL history is 1-0.
It was probably a snowy, fucking sub-zero temperature day.
Holy shit. That's fucked up. The lowest scoring game in CFL history, a 1-0 victory by the Montreal Alouettes over the Ottawa Rough Riders in 1966, had no scoring except for a ruse in the fourth quarter on a missed field goal attempt.
Oh, that's a sad way to lose. It's because
They
they probably
missed.
didn't even know the rule.
No. So no. So the Alouettes scored 1 point
Yeah.
after missing a field goal.
Oh, I thought it was the other way, that the other team
No.
kicked a field goal and missed it, and then it was a rouge.
No, the Alouettes kicked a field goal, missed it, but still got 1 point.
Yeah, that's fucking weird. Here, we're going to give you the win even though you didn't do anything good.
So apparently the most rouges ever scored by one kicker in a game is 11.
Oh, yeah, rouge.
And the final score was 14-7. I'm sorry. I'm going.
This show's not about Canadian football, James.
So if a kickoff.
So you need to watch the new kickoff, and you need to think inside of your brain, how are teams going to kick off to give themselves the best advantage, and how are teams going to return to give themselves the best advantage within these new rules, where maybe you can have some fireworks and get some return touchdowns that we haven't seen in many years. I'm hearing that the kickoff teams are going to be kicking to the corners because they want to cut the field in half, and then that the return teams are going to be like doing unique unseen blocking formations. Of course, I don't know what the rules are on what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do with the blocking formations, is a way to break through and like basically have the returner like a dart fucking burn through and go. Because if he can get through that like first like 10 or so yards, it's almost like a fucking clear path to go. And so it could be exciting. It could be a lot of nothing. I don't really know. We're going to find out within the next couple weeks.
Yeah. We'll see. But also, the caveat is you get the point, but your opponent gets the ball on the 40.
Ooh, okay. But they couldn't pull it off in that 1-0 loss.
Yeah.
And they couldn't rouge their own. All right, so that's it for question of the week. James, next week we've got to do our week 1 power rankings and game picks.
We do.
And so we can look at the date after I close this offline here. But let me just ask you right now, it seems like the bet needs to continue. Are you on board
Yeah,
with that?
I'm cool with
Because
that.
you've not had a whiskey with me in a while, and so I don't want to pressure you. And I think I
I
might
just
have like one on credit, but I could be wrong about that. So, because didn't I win the last couple of them?
I thought you got one, but
Didn't
you
I get
might.
one when I could have gotten two?
True.
And I said just put one on credit? I mean, we could go back and
That
check the
sounds right.
tape. We can
That
go back
sounds
and check
right.
the tape. Either way, if you win one, I'd probably just pay you one because I want you to have a whiskey with me. But you know, but I want to make sure you're good with the bet before we
Oh,
commit to the bet.
yeah, I'm good with the bet.
All right. So the bet is on. It's up to $100 for a bottle of whiskey to whoever has the most wins in the regular season, and then we'll do like our normal playoff. It's kind of like points based, right? So,
Yeah.
and that'll be a second bet. But so we got that, which means we both probably need to put some thought into our week one game picks.
Yes.
All right. So that's the show for next week. Any closing questions, thoughts, or concerns?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm going to shut it down and then we'll pick our schedule for next week. All right, buddy. Good time. Anybody who's watching, subscribe, blah, 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 poop your pants. Bye bye.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut, hut, hike.